We're talking about the blessed life as Jesus laid it out in the Sermon on the Mount, and we've noted that that which is highly esteemed among men is abomination in the sight of God. And so it shouldn't surprise us that many of the things that Jesus said are blessed should be upside down from the world, but today's really is. In Matthew chapter 5 and verse 10, it says, "Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." So we've made a circle now. We started out, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Now, "Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." So once again, we're not saying that if you do these things, you can earn the blessings attached to them. That's not it at all. What it says is these are the marks of someone who truly belongs to Jesus. So how in the world could you say someone is blessed who is persecuted for righteousness' sake? Well, the Bible tells us in John chapter 15, Jesus told his followers, "If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you." You see, Jesus was persecuted, and if we are following him, well, we're going to be persecuted as well. It's going to happen. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 12 says, "Yea, and all that will live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution." So when you live godly in Christ Jesus, the world is not going to like it. The world is going to hate that, and it's going to react to it. There's going to be persecution. Notice, please, that Jesus says are persecuted for righteousness' sake. In other words, for living a life that is totally different than this world. See, this world cannot produce righteousness. Only Christ can produce righteousness. And he produces that righteousness in us. He is our righteousness when we trust in him. And so we see that as that's manifested, this world does not like Jesus, therefore it does not like his followers either. Paul says in Romans chapter 8 and verse 17, "If we are children, then heirs, heirs of God and joint heirs with Christ, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may also be glorified together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us." And so this is the attachment of that blessing. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Paul lays it out. He says, look, we're going to suffer with Christ in this world, but when you take that and you compare that to what we have, our inheritance, to the glory that's going to be revealed in us, when Jesus Christ returns, when he sets up his kingdom, it is not even, you can't even compare the two because they are so different. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 17 says, "For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory." And so once again, the comparison. Does the child of God want to suffer persecution? Of course not. Nobody wants to suffer persecution. But Jesus promises us it's going to happen. He goes on and he says, "Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake." So let's please notice the reasons for the persecution. First of all, it's for righteousness' sake, and now he says for my sake. And then he pronounces this. He says, "Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you." Remember, the blessed life plays out now, but ultimately it plays out in the future. When we live our life now following Jesus, we understand that there is reward, that there is blessing in the future when Jesus returns. I just want to encourage you this morning. If you follow Jesus, the world isn't going to like it, but it's okay because he has pronounced you blessed if you're persecuted by the world. God bless. Have a great day.